Now, we want to look at the aesthetics of the box plots. So we want to look at the appearance of the boxes and how can you control things such as color, fill, alpha, the line type, as well as the line width. Okay, so I'm going to first try to display this and let's go. So we're gonna specify our data set. Okay, our data set is returns. Okay, so we're going to say geom underscore because we're talking about box plot, right? So let's specify the aesthetics, position in the x-axis. So in the x-axis we want the name of the company, and then in the y-axis we want the stock, the returns. Okay, so if we come here and say fill, right, remember as in the box plot you can pass in a vector, and that vector, the first element will be corresponding to the color of the first bar. Okay, so in this case will correspond to the first box. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So let's see here. If you come here and say blue, right, and we're gonna come and say a green. Let me move this a little bit. Okay, and we're gonna come here and say let's use gold, and we're gonna come here. Remember we have 5 companies, so we have to pass a vector of 5 colors, and we're gonna say brown, and then we're gonna say black. Is black the best color? Let's see. Okay, so what we are seeing right now here is that we have been able to change the background color of these boxes. We made use of fill argument. Okay, don't forget, we will also come later when we're looking into the hex code, but for now we are using the names of the color. Okay, we can also play around with the transparency. Okay, so if you come here and say alpha 0.3, you observe that the transparency in this color has changed. So you can also play around with that. Okay, we can also play around with the color of the border. Okay, where we now specify the color argument. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So let's remove this. We had fill, but now we can say color. Okay, so if you run this, you observed now it's changing the borders. Don't forget that the difference between fill is for the color for the whole box, so it's just fill with these colors. But now if you come here and specify color, it changes the border in these boxes. Okay, now we can also do the same with the size. So what do I mean? So you can come in here and say size, and let's say you say 1.6. So what you have done now is that you have changed the width of the borders in these box plots. Okay, so it's what matters is how you want your boxes to appear. Okay, so I'm going to remove this and I'm going to run this. Okay, we can also play around with the line type. Okay, we can also play around with the line type. So in that case, you will come in here and say, remember these specify the border. In this case, this specify the border, right? So let's use dashed lines. So you can see here, we now have these boxes and we are specifying the borders. The border is now dashed lines. So you can also play around with the color. Okay. Now, let's say we want to map variables, right? So instead of simply just specifying values, we can simply map the arguments such as fill and color to variables as well. Now, let us look at the example of that. So we come here and say ggplot. We have to specify the data set, which is returns. And we have to specify that you want boxplot. Okay, the aesthetics, I'm going to just this. Okay, we want the stock and we want the returns. Okay, but now remember what we want to do is we want to fill color by the name of the company, right? So in this case by the stock, and because that variable is inside the data set, we have to specify this inside the aesthetic function. So don't forget that. So if you run this, so now this here is our beautiful box plots that are now showing that this box plot with this color belong to this company. And then, for example, you can observe here, you can see that for different companies, there is a different color for each box. Okay, so what about mapping the color? Remember, fill will fill the color for these boxes. You can also come here and say, what about color? Can you guess? So what will this do is that it will change the border. Okay, don't forget. So it has assigned these colors, but now you can see here it's like the border colors. It has not filled the whole boxes. So this is one of the differences between fill and color. Do not forget those differences.